Alright viewers, welcome back to a DC tutorial in the MiG-15Bis. Today we'll be learning how to start the aircraft up, so let's get to it. First things first is we want to go turn on all these switches down here. Apart from the battery, move that one off. Okay, we can see them all now, good. So there's 4 on this row, and 4 on that row. Next we'll ask for ground power.
Chief, turn on the ground power.
There we go, getting ground power now.
Copy.
Next we'll come over to the left wall, and there are 5 switches to turn over here. So we want to turn on the booster pumps, the ignition, instruments, and transfer pump. Leave the isolating valve off. Now, for this next one, we want to come over to the throttle. There is the start button here. Click the cover open. And we'll press the start button for 2 seconds. Now, the engine RPM is this gauge here. When that gets to 300, we want to press the home button, or the home key, and that will open the engine fuel lever to 50%. Once it reaches over 1000 RPM, we then need to press and hold right shift and home. We need to do this slowly, just press it incrementally, otherwise we will flood the engine, fail to start up. So let's start the engine. Okay, starting. I'll press help. Okay, 50%. Now let's start opening it incrementally. Okay, that sounds like a good start. Now it should be opened all the way. Okay, the engine is now at idle. Now next thing is we need to bring the engine to 4000 RPM to get the electrics running. You can see the generator off, light is illuminated. So what we'll do is we'll bring the throttle forwards until about 4000 RPM, at which point the generator will start running. We'll turn the battery on 2 now. Okay, we've got some power. Now we'll taxi to the runway. We need about 6000 RPM to taxi, but just kind of modulate it as you need.
Hey, what are you doing?
Okay, yeah, we're taxiing now. To taxi, it's the same as the MiG-21, so you use the brake lever on your flight stick. You press and hold that, and put a rudder in the direction you want to turn. Now, importantly, just for all levels of OAS, all flight from the MiG-15, your engine responds very slowly. Obviously, it's a very old engine. I believe it is a derivative of the British Nene or Nene. I think it's Nene. Anyway, it's derivative of the Nene. It's a very old probably like pre-1950s engine, honestly. So you're not getting a ton of performance out of it, and the engine is very slow to respond to throttle inputs. So it is better to use your air brake to lose speeds than the throttle, especially like a dogfight or something. Because when you do cut throttle, you're not getting that throttle back for a few seconds, which can be bad in the dogfight, especially in the dogfight rather. . Also, it's a good idea to keep the engine RPM above 4,000 because, like I said, when the engine RPM goes below 4,000 RPM, you lose electrical power, the generator shuts off, and your battery power. So it's generally a good idea to keep your engine on a relatively high RPM. I'm at about half throttle on my physical, throttle on my hot ass. Let's line up behind this F-16.
Ford 3, passing waypoint 1 at 7,000.
Now, if you want lights, external lights are here. Turn those on. There's also a nose light there, if you want that for, like... I mean, you can fly this in nighttime. The Koreans certainly did. There were a bunch of night fighters in Korea during the Korean War. How useful they were is debatable, but they did score some kills against bombers at least. So, yeah. Right. So we're into the runway. We'll now close the cockpit. With left control C. You can also click the handle back here. There we go. The canopy's closing. Canopy's closed. Okay. Now we'll come down to our right and left thigh. This controls the cabin, the cockpit air valve and the temperature. Let's just stop here. And you can also turn on the oxygen valve by mouse wheeling down or going anti-clockwise with dragging on the mouse. Yeah, skip ahead of this C-130 and take off. Now we want to put our flaps down to 20 degrees. Let's do that. Okay, flaps are at 20.
Ford 3, in from the southwest, engaging utility at bulls 031 for 45.
We also want to unlatch our landing gear with that, so now our landing gear can go up. Okay, we're lined up on the runway as well as we can be. Let's take off now. So I'll hold the brake, increase throttle to maximum, and then we'll start rolling. Actually, we want to set throttle to 9,000, then throttle. But increase to 9,000, then go to full throttle. Okay, throttle is holding at 9,000 RPM. Let's go to full. Keep it nice and steady. Now that obviously this plane is very old, it has little, if no, stability augmentation, so you have to be careful on the inputs. We'll rotate about 250 kilometers an hour. Let's rotate now. It's very bumpy. Okay, we're beginning to lift off and pull back on the stick. And we're airborne. Okay, gear up. We want 3 red lights to indicate up. There we go. Gear up. Let's hold about 10 degrees pitch as we climb. And I'll bring the RPM back to 10,000. Okay, and she's up in the air. Let's go and pitch down a bit of trim. Alright, viewers, that'll be it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Patreon, TikTok, and YouTube. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Shark 31.